I have something I wanted to share with you. I found a way to take my favorite trail treat, chocolate cake, out in the trail and not have it spoil. Let's go take a look. So we start with a box cake mix. Keep it simple. They usually take eggs and oil. Well, both of those have fat, so I'm going to get rid of the oil and we're going to dress the eggs. We're going to use a different version of eggs on this one to get rid of all the fat that might spoil with chocolate cake. So here's the ingredients. It's water, eggs, and oil. Of course, the cake mix is in there. Start by adding in the dry mix. Mine calls for a cup of water. And now it's time to separate the eggs. It'll get a little messy, so I put something down. And then it's just a matter of separating the eggs and getting only the egg white. I'm going to get rid of the egg yolk because that contains the fat, and I don't want the fat to go rancid or to spoil in there. There's an alternative of using a vegan egg product. There's a couple on the market that might simplify this step. My recipe called for 3 eggs, so I used 6 egg whites. The other fat source to get rid of is the oil. I'm going to use applesauce for that. It's nice in that you can use the exact same amount of applesauce as you would oil. My recipe calls for 1/3 cup of oil, so I'm going to use 1/3 cup of applesauce. After that, mix it up and pour it into a greased pan. Notice the spray oil is the only fat I have in this recipe. Since these eggs came from my own chickens in the yard, I get to lick the bowl. Now it's off to the oven. My box recipe called for 350 degrees at 28 minutes. After testing it, it's time to come out and go onto the cooling rack. I didn't wait quite long enough for this to cool off all the way. That's why the knife is dragging a little bit. Now bust out your dehydrating rack. I left these pieces a little too big, so I ended up cutting them again later on. The smaller the pieces are, the faster they dehydrate and the easier it is to crush them later on. Now it's off to the dehydrator. I really like my Excalibur dehydrator, but you can do just fine with the cheaper one. I set mine to 135 degrees for 8 hours. I ended up running it for longer because I let it dehydrate overnight. I know they're completely dry when they're hard and brittle. Now take a potato masher or some other tool to break down the pieces. You want to get them to a small crumble, something that packs well. I break my cake up into individual serving sizes. The box says it serves 10 people. That's a joke. Maybe it'll serve 4 or 5 hungry hikers. So I just took the total amount and divided it by 5. I keep the bags in the freezer until I'm ready to use them. With essentially no fat in this recipe, it'll keep for a very long time. Now to eat it, pour it into a bowl, or you can leave it in the bag and add small amounts of hot water. Don't add too much all at once so it doesn't get too soggy. If you left your pieces too big, those won't rehydrate as well, and you'll have some crunchy bits in there. They'll still be chocolate though. And there you have it, warm dehydrated chocolate cake that you could have weeks into a trip. Something I've thought about but never done is to use a chocolate peanut butter or a Nutella type mix to add in it as a topping. Maybe it's overly decadent, or maybe you're going to use it to stretch out if you had to feed more people. Either way, it's all good. Enjoy.
Damn, that's good.